Hi, the Sci-Fi Recapped here. Today, I am going to explain the American dystopian action horror film called The First Purge. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. The movie opens with an extreme close-up of an insane junkie, whose thin face scarified and his teeth orange-yellow, nicknamed Skeletor, telling another man about his dark desires and instincts, and how he wants to purge to unleash his hatred on other people, one of many residents of a Staten Island neighborhood that has been chosen by the new Founding Fathers Party president of the US for a social science experiment. The other man likes Skeletor's use of the word purge and assures him that he will get to do just that very soon. Set in the mid-21st century, it is a time of economic and social turmoil in the United States. The new Founding Fathers of America are established to replace both the Democratic and Republican parties. They plan to initiate an experiment on Staten Island within 2 days' time to allow for citizens to release their inhibitions for a 12-hour period. This was concocted by Chief of Staff Arlo Sabian and Dr. May Updale. Those conducting and monitoring the experiment offer the island's residents $5,000 to stay in their homes during the experiment, and an additional compensation to those who participate. The participants are given tracking devices and camera contact lenses to monitor their activity. Native Staten Islanders opposed to the lab rat situation include local activist Naya, standing on a car Naya protest against purge, telling that they have monetized murders. Upon arrival of local drug kingpin Dimitri, Naya says to him it's bad for the poverty-impoverished community, and Dimitri says it's bad for his business. They're both right, conveniently enough, they are ex-lovers. Dimitri tells his dealers that they will be making their way out of Staten Island on purge night. One dealer, capital A, says he wants to stay and purge, but Dimitri has his trusted friend Blaze flip capital A onto his back to reaffirm his orders. Elsewhere, a young man named Isaiah has a run-in with Skeletor, who harasses him and says he's going after his sister on purge night. Isaiah shoves Skeletor, who retaliates by cutting Isaiah's neck with a razor. One of Isaiah's friends shoot at Skeletor, but he escapes. Isaiah tends to his wound at home when he is found by his sister Naya, who is advocating against the purge. Naya goes to confront Dimitri, with whom she has some history. She is angry because she thinks that Dimitri has Isaiah dealing for him, but Dimitri says he never knew he was dealing and never would have taken him in like that. Next scene, Isaiah goes to the NFFA office to register his name to actively participate in the purge. The officer asks him, "Are you angry?" Isaiah answers, "Very angry." Then he is informed that he will be implanted a tracking and recording device. The officer also tells Isaiah greater participation gets greater compensation. At home, Isaiah puts on a contact lens, when the tracking device is automatically on, and then he takes a gun to hunt down Skeletor. On the evening of the experiment, many people make their way off the island via ferries. Naya joins her friends Dolores and Luisa, as well as Luisa's daughter Selena at church, where they will wait out the purge. Naya thinks that Isaiah is with their uncle in Brooklyn, but he has stayed to participate in the purge so he can go after Skeletor. Meanwhile, Dimitri has stayed in his office, while Capital A has sent 2 hookers there to keep Dimitri company. Isaiah goes out into the streets with his gun. Skeletor has joined the purge as well, and he finds a man trying to break open an ATM, and Skeletor stabs him to death. This is recorded as the very first purge of the night. The footage goes viral quickly after the NFFA gets their hands on the video. They observe that there are more parties being thrown around the area compared to what they were originally expecting. Skeletor walks upon one of the purge parties happening, which is just a rave going on in the middle of the streets. He stabs a few people to death before the crowd runs away in fear. Isaiah has him cornered and aims his gun at him, but he fails to pull the trigger, drops the gun, and runs away. Skeletor chases after him as Isaiah runs through bad neighborhoods where other murderous purgers are running loose. He finds a quiet spot to call Naya for help, and she leaves to go find him. As Naya goes to look for Isaiah, Dimitri is visited by the hookers. As they seduce him, they quickly turn out to be purgers who try to kill him. At the same time, we see Naya get caught by Skeletor, who tries to cut and rape her, but Isaiah stabs Skeletor in the back and runs away with Naya. Dimitri fights off the hookers and learns that they were sent by Capital A to take Dimitri out so that he can assume control of the block, as well as to receive their payment so they can leave their business. Naya and Isaiah make their way back to the church, only to find blood-soaked white supremacist bikers leaving it, covered in blood. After the purgers disperse, Naya finds Luisa and Selena alive, but they don't know where Dolores went. They make their way to Naya and Isaiah's apartment for safety. Once there, they are met by Dolores, who managed to make it through the streets in one piece, albeit very shaken up. At the NFFA headquarters, Updale becomes suspicious of a sudden increase in murder, along with the presence of masked participants. As she reviews the video footage of the purge and notices vans full of masked killers arriving, she realizes to her horror that the masked participants are trained mercenary groups killing multiple civilians. Sabian explains that he sent the mercenaries to make the experiment look successful, and eventually to help balance the wealth disequilibrium amongst the rich and the poor. Updale protests this tampering, realizing that the NFFA only wants to eradicate the poor to save the expense of social programs. Knowing that his corruption has been exposed, Sabian has Updale taken to Staten Island and executed. He orders footage of this to be deleted. Meanwhile, Capital A goes by Dimitri's place to ask the hookers what became of Dimitri. He gets his answer when Dimitri's still loyal crew members draw their guns on Capital A and his goons. Dimitri comes out and executes him before the goons get shot too. Except for Anna and Elsa the hookers, who are told to never return to Staten Island. Dimitri then proceeds to meet with the rest of his crew, only for him and his buddy to get their car rammed into by a flaming truck. Purgers step out to shoot people on the streets, but Dimitri snaps one of their necks and steals his gun to shoot the others. He heads to meet the crew and finds that they are cornered by Purgers dressed in Klan uniforms. The Klansmen fire upon the men in the building until they have smoke bombs thrown at their feet, leaving the Klansmen blind and open to get slaughtered. Dimitri re-teams with his whole crew until NFFA drones shoot them all dead. Dimitri contacts Naya when he finds that the mercenaries are headed to her apartment. He orders her to stay hidden and get what she can to protect herself and the others. Sure enough, the mercs are viciously gunning down everybody on every floor. Dimitri grabs as many guns as he can carry and heads to the building. He finds 3 mercs and fights them before shooting 2 of them and strangling the third. The other mercs are making their way up to the top floor where Naya and the others are. Luisa, Selena and Dolores hide in the closet for safety. Dimitri kills more mercs until he joins the others. 2 mercs break into the apartment, but Naya shoots them both in the legs before she and Isaiah stab them in the necks. As the mercs reach Naya's place, they prepare to shoot an RPG until Skeletor shows up and slays 3 mercs before getting shot dead. Dimitri grabs a C4 explosive and tosses it into the other room, shooting it until it blows up and obliterates the remaining mercs. The survivors make their way out of the room as the sirens signaling the end of the purge go off. Dimitri got shot, but Naya and Isaiah help him walk out. The other survivors meet up outside where they view Dimitri as a hero. Isaiah asks what happens now, and Dimitri says it's time for them to fight back. As the end credits roll, Sabian issues a statement saying that the purge was a success, and they will begin to roll out a nationwide purge starting the following year. The First Purge is a 2018 American dystopian action horror film directed by Gerard McMurray and starring Elin Noel, Blake Scott Davis, Joyvan Wade and Steve Harris, written and co-produced by James DeMonico. It marks the first film of the series not to be directed by him. The First Purge grossed $69.5 million in the United States and Canada and $67.5 million in other territories for a total worldwide gross of $137 million, against a production budget of $13 million. On review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 56% based on 174 reviews, with an average rating of 5.5 out of 10, on Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating to reviews. The film has a weighted average score of 54 out of 100, based on 39 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews.